Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the opportunity that we have to meet together as a city council to mull over these important things that need to be decided. We are grateful to live in this beautiful city and ask Thy blessings to be upon the council tonight as they deliberate over these matters, that they will be inspired, that they will have wisdom, that they will be able to choose what is best for our community. We also ask Thy blessings to be upon all those who may be sick and afflicted in our city, that Thou will bless them and bring them back to health. We ask a special blessing for rain, Heavenly Father, that Thou will send it to our dry area, that we will have the moisture we need for the farmers and ranchers, and that they may be able to have their livestock and crops grow and develop as they should. And we ask for these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Roll call.
Mayor Hicks,
Present.
Councilors Lucero,
Present.
Padilla,
Here.
Reynolds, Vasquez,
Here. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hallelujah. Approval of the agenda, number 5, the code enforcement report. I'd like to table that until next time. We'll cut the agenda down a little bit. We've got a lot more. So with that correction, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the motion.
Spit it out, baby.
Agenda.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Rick? Yes. Fred?
Yes.
Jack Farley?
Mr. Hardy gave you a handout that looks like this.
Mayor and the manager of the city council, I'll make this short because I've already done a big schedule tonight. But as you know, here, last meeting I said, Mr. Martinez had reported that they'd give him a flag. It was 40 by 80, and it was torn on the ends. And he brought it over and he was talking about getting the flagpole, and I know y'all discussed that. Well, if you read the thing I put out, this is the U.S. flag code. And it, when the week after he made that announcement, me and Tammy went up, they said they were going to take pictures of it. We went up there and y'all had aerated about 2 or 3 days before, had watered, and the plugs was wet, and they laid the flag down on the ground. They laid the flag down on the ground and folded it up wet and muddy. And it said the flag should never touch anything beneath it, such as the ground, the floor, water, or merchandise. It also says the flag should never be fastened, displaced, used, or stored so that it might be easily torn, soiled, or damaged in any way. Then when you get to the bottom paragraph, it says, when the flag is in such condition that it is no longer fitable emblem, it should be destroyed in a dignified and ceremonious fashion, preferably by burning. And they laid that on the ground and folded it up wet and muddy. And I don't know where it's at now, but and I don't even know if it could be repaired. I don't know if they're supposed to or not. We didn't find anything on that.
We didn't have anything to do with that, Jack.
I know that.
Okay?
I know that.
And I know the U.S. flag code just like you do, just like all veterans do.
Well, not one veteran, because Martinez,
Well, I wish I would've seen it,
and he was in charge of it.
Yeah, I know.
And he's the one that had it done. And the other people was finding out the manual was there. And he seen what had happened, and it was folded up muddy. And I just wanted to make a comment, maybe we should get it put in the paper or something that, you know.
Well, the paper's sitting right there, I'm sure it will be.
But it was, other countries burn the flag and destroy it and tear it up. But God, I hope the people in Grants never does that again.
I agree, Jack, 100%.
So Jack, I got some, since you think it's all weathered and tore up and all that, can it be fixed and reused?
It's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be destroyed by the
It's supposed to be destroyed.
Okay?
So I don't think it can be, should be fixed, because it's gonna be if you fix it, it's gonna be a different color, and it's not gonna work.
Well, maybe we should just destroy it.
Well, it's not ours to destroy, buddy.
Well, no, but we're not gonna fly it over.
No. If we decide to go with that flagpole, guys, I'm sure that they'll give us a flag with the flagpole at the cost of that flagpole. Going online and looking at it, it's about $35,000 for the pole,
Right.
okay? So if we decide to do that, we'll get a new flag. We won't fly one that's been laying on the ground, Jim,
Thank you, sir.
okay? Cibola County Economic, Jamie?
Joanne.
Joanne, man, that's a very, very interesting way you spell your name there, bro.
I'm sorry. Thank you for having me. First of all, I'd like to say, Mr. Mayor and Council, congratulations on you winning the elections. I haven't seen you since the election, so congratulations. I am here on behalf of Eileen Yarborough and Robert Castillo. They could not make the meeting, so I'm reading from a script, so please bear with me. First of all, they would like to thank you for your past support of the Cibola County Economic Development Foundation. She says CCEDF has been working on a three-pronged approach. Business expansions include expanding to the Cibola Industrial Park, and they will bring fiber optics to the park and later to the entire service area.
Could you say that again, please?
Sure. They're expanding to the industrial park, the Cibola Industrial Park, bringing fiber optics, and that they hope fiber optics will eventually reach the entire service area. Recruitment, they're currently recruiting for the airport and other assets and grants. Also, tonight with me is Shelley she's the new director of the SolarWorks program. And what SolarWorks does is it's a remote work program, and it brings local jobs to the community. And so once they take the training, they have the ability to work from grants remotely. So Shelley, let me introduce you to Shelley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, and council members for allowing me to speak. My name is Shelley Fawcett. I'm the Center Director for SolarWorks Cibola. With me is some of my solo workers or solo workers to be. We're really excited about what's happening with the program right now. We are making relationships and partnerships with various employers, trainers, and staffing agencies that are really exciting to us. And more than ever, we feel like it's becoming clear that you don't need to leave grants to have a job that fulfills you, and that gives you a chance to stay local, not have to leave your community. Currently, since I came on board 3 months ago tomorrow, I've been in touch and done intake with 45 people, 33 of which are still active in the program, and 30 of which have jobs lined up, even if they're not currently working, as they're awaiting more on-the-job training. We're really excited about what's going on. We're really excited about their future careers, and I love each one of these people, and thank you for allowing me to take a moment to express that.
Questions? Sydney?
No.
Manny?
How many active participants do you have now?
We are at 33 right now that are actively in the program that I'm keeping tabs on.
Has any of them gone farther and gotten a job or placement?
As I said, I have 30 right now who are currently either doing on-the-job training or for their client certifications, or who have it coming down the line and will be doing that training within the next month or so.
Rick? No, Rick? Laura? Thank you. Ms. Jones. You can bring that guy next to you up with you. I think he'll stand up there with you.
Thank you, sir.
I get to talk today.
That'll work. We'd rather hear from you anyway.
I'm just going to read what I've got here so everybody can be on the same page. When the American Legion Rider Association have benefit runs that take place in our community, the funds go to that entity. Funds is generally used for blankets, hygiene items, medical, travel, food, etc. Riders from our community and from other chapters from out of town spend money on fuel, eat at our restaurants, some even stay in our hotels. We average about 30 plus riders. The American Riders Association rides because they love to ride. These folks are veterans, sons, daughters, business owners, chaplains, doctors, attorneys, farmers, and just plain ordinary people just like us. And they like coming to Grants. It's right off I-40. Enjoy the scenery and the people. There are riders and automobiles that ride with us that are not members to support what we do. Excuse me. This event has nothing to do with bringing back the bike rally. Our event is outside of town, not blocking downtown Santa Fe Avenue. We are asking for this to replenish what we donate and help with our community. So we want to continue helping the community. That is what we do, not just because the American Legion is a veteran place, it's because we like our community too. The city manager keeps asking why the people that ask for money can't do their own fundraisers. Our folks do raffles for us, such as dinners, cookouts, etc. The American Legion family is only allowed to do so many fundraisers a year. The community is very much involved with helping veterans and families with other fundraisers we do, as such as the Operation Wounded Warrior and the Fisher House. The list goes on. Remember, this is someone's family member that is serving may need this help. I am proud to be a part of the American Legion family and proud to be married to a veteran. I would not be standing here and speaking if it wasn't for the men and women who fought to protect our country. Thank you for your time.
The only thing I'd like to say about that is let's change the name to Legion Riders and Veterans versus Bulls instead of bikers. When you use that word bikers, I picture banditos and bongos and poor boys and all them idiots, okay? So please, and I don't have a problem with the event, I just have a problem with the name on the event. Let's call it Legion Riders, anything, Veteran Riders, except bikers versus bikers. Anything but bikers, okay? Come up with a name, guys, something other than bikers, because...
The only reason that we name this...
And I understand it, Richard, I understand it, I'm a veteran, I had a motorcycle, I came into this town before the bike rally was every year riding a Harley. That's all I had for my transportation.
The only reason we call it that is...
It kind of got a kick to it.
You have to have a motorcycle endorsement to get in our events, our bull riding. That's just to keep the PBR bull riders coming from Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of them don't have a motorcycle license. That's something, but we can come up with a different name.
Questions? Sydney? Manny? Rick? Fred? No questions? Thank you, guys.
Can I say one more thing?
You bet you can.
Mr. Farley and all, I have that flag now, and it will be taken care of properly. I have it in my possession.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, and thank y'all for considering the flagpole deal. I think it's a great idea. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
Moses?
Good evening. I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but
But here you are to beat it, buddy.
Wednesday, March 7th, the Governor Martinez signed a $6.3 billion state budget. This will give state police and corrections, which is in our backyard, the 8.5% increase that I talked about during the last meeting.
When was the last time the state and the corrections department got a raise?
It's a good question.
I know the answer. That's why I'm asking you.
I'll get you that answer.
Okay.
Though the mayor was quick and is quick today to make it very clear to the Cibola citizen and its readers that we will not get a bigger piece of the pie, I would ask the council that you not be as quick to deny our 8.5 increase. I welcome all council members to contact me after hours, Monday through Friday, weekends, it doesn't matter. You get a hold of me so we can further discuss this, because we're at risk of losing officers, and I cannot afford this. I don't have anything else, that's it.
Questions?
Thank you.
Barbara Wesley. Smile, guys, it ain't that bad, really.
Did I look mad?
Yeah, no, not you. You were smiling coming up. It was everybody else sitting out there.
Well, it's a good day, even with the wind. I have a couple of reports that I wanted to give to the City Council and to the citizens of Cibola County. The first is the Grants Community Pantry, and it's a 3-month report. Beginning in 2018 through March, the Grants Community Pantry has received 113,628 pounds of donations. Walmart has given 18,854 pounds. Smith's has given 5,287 pounds. The Brooks has given 3,718 pounds. Dollar General, 401 pounds. Other donations, for example, food drives, 14,459 pounds. Walk-in donations of 1,829 pounds. And the product received by the Gallup Pantry is bread of 2,668 pounds, produce of 27,337 pounds, and the miscellaneous is 1,867. The monetary donations received in grants was $4,720.75. And one of the challenges that we face with the pantry is that Gallup is still supporting the local pantry. We have not been able to get the support to even pay our directors. And then there's a $4,000 needed to repair, I believe it's something on one of the freezers. I think, Manny, you probably know what that's all about.
That's a major repair.
At the last time I gave a report, it was asked if the building was owned in grants, by grants. No, it's not. I saw the title, and it's been deeded to the Gallup Pantry. I'm not sure why, when that happened. I do know that...
It's been that way forever, Wesley. As a matter of fact, we are actually ran by the Gallup Pantry.
Right, we are.
Yes.
Yeah, we're under the umbrella of the Gallup
Yes.
Pantry. However, when it started, Reuben Thomas was the one that started the pantry, and he obtained enough donations in that first year to pay off the pantry. That's just some historical information. And then, are there any questions regarding the pantry?
So Barbara, how did the building end up belonging to the Gallup Pantry when that was paid for by our local churches, I understood?
I don't know. I don't know if it was because they had the resources to support it. I don't know how that happened. I just know that...
I'd be willing to bet that's exactly what it was, Barbara, is because Gallup had a pantry and they were the ones supplying us over here. And I'd be willing to bet that's exactly what happened there. I don't know for sure, guys, but it makes perfect sense to me that it would go to Gallup because that's where we get everything that's going on here, basically.
Those that were involved in the original are either gone or deceased. So getting someone that actually was involved in that transition is not available to discuss that. But I do know that Gallup, it's under the umbrella of the Gallup Pantry, and they do own that building. And what brought this up at the last meeting was the fact that there are holes in that parking lot, and I have a description of the land around the pantry that belongs to the pantry, and they'd still like to get those holes filled and to make it safer for those coming and going out of the pantry. I do have a report on the Animal Care Center. I know there's been a lot of controversy lately regarding the Animal Care Center. And this is a report for March. The animals handled in grants were 99 animals. The county was 22, Laguna 25, Milan 12. So a total of 158 animals were held in the month of March, or handled. The animals collected or abandoned were 94, captured were 7, dead on arrival were 2, owners released 42, born in facility were 8, and in protective custody were 5. That's a total of 158. Dispositions reclaimed were 11, adopted were 21, relocated were 35. There is a place in Albuquerque, in Utah, that many of these animals are transported to. There's already a need in that area for some of the pets that we have here. Those that were euthanized, dogs were 26, puppies were 28, cats 18, for a total of 72. And then complaints. Animal shelter, there were 34, and I can't elaborate on that because I have no idea what the complaints were regarding. Animal bite cases were 2. Lost animal reports were 19. Animals held over from February were 42. Animals received in March were 158. Reclaimed or adopted or relocated were 67. DOA were 2. Total animals euthanized were 72. And animals held over this month are 59. Any questions that I can't answer, I don't know the answer to?
I do have one on this one. It has come to my attention in about the past maybe 3 weeks that there were a number of years ago, the monthly statistics for the Animal Care Center were in the Beacon at the time. They stopped being published in the Beacon. It's come to my attention.
I'm sorry, but I didn't get all of that you just said. I'm trying to listen.
Oh. Statistics, Animal Care Center statistics used to be published in the Beacon many years ago. They stopped being published many years ago. After that time, there were a number of people in the community that thought that the Animal Care Center was a no-kill shelter. And then, that's what they thought.
Yeah.
And then they found out recently that it was not a no-kill shelter, and they got all upset. And I can understand, but there was never anything ever published that it was a no-kill shelter. And so again, there's this controversy it's not even a controversy, it's a polarization. You have them and them. And there isn't any way I could ever figure out how to put them and them together. Never gonna happen. I've been here 21 years, not gonna happen.
Okay, so perhaps I can address some of what you just
For the Animal Care Center and the board, maybe trying to work to put the people together a little bit. Or move toward the center a little bit.
First of all, there were some animals that came into the shelter that were ill and very, very sick, and that spread rapidly to many others. So that's one of the reasons that there were so many were euthanized recently, okay? I perceive that the problem, we had 99 that were handled from grants. We are the problem because we do not spay and neuter our pets here. Now, every pet that's going out of the shelter right now is spayed and neutered. It's spayed and neutered. Every pet that's adopted is not going to go out and expect the adopted parent or the adopted owner to spay and neuter them. They are doing that right now in the shelter.
So we've had a couple of positive outcomes or positive steps towards making the shelter a better place in the last 2 months. I have raised the salary of the care officers, and we are fully staffed now. We have 3 care officers, a director, front receptionist, and then I've added a volunteer coordinator 3 days a week. That's part of the issue. I realized I was asking my staff to coordinate volunteers, and it's such a busy place, they didn't have the time. So we've dedicated a staff for 3 days a week to be the volunteer coordinator. That person's also in charge of helping model customer service for others that are new to the center, and for staff training, and for organizing some of the documentation that we should keep on our care center. So we're moving in a positive direction. I believe we've got a full board now, full animal care board, who are very dedicated and interested in helping us make the shelter a better place. So they're planning some really great adoption activities and marketing to take care of those babies at the center.
Right. And I do believe that many of the challenges that the center has faced recently have been resolved. I'm pleased to say that.
It smells better too, right, Barbara?
Absolutely. I think I've got that nose that can detect anything, right? And so I was in there today picking up this report, and I thought, well, it really is better. And so we are.
Thanks, Les.
Yeah, thanks, Les.
As we're working on budgets, we spend about $300,000 for the care center between the staff and supplies. Because of the additional raise and the staff that we've put there, we're looking at $370,000.
Okay.
So, some people are claiming that we've cut budgets and we're not spending much. $300,000 is a hefty allotment for the care center.
It
for our
really is.
community.
And I do believe that we as citizens are the problem that's created this huge, the need for a budget.
And my
of this
point is,
size.
guys, we're not into killing those animals. We don't enjoy killing those animals. I, for one, am against killing them animals, but we can't just continue to take them. I mean, at some point, we have to put some of them down. And there's no other way to put it, it sucks.
Well,
But that's just the nature of the beast that we have over there. When you're handling 150 animals every month, I mean, we take out what we can, and we give away what we can, we send the ones away that we can, but some of them have to be put down whether we like it or not.
Well, those that were euthanized were sick.
Yes.
They were
That's true.
in desperate,
Yes.
I mean, they were dying, and so that's the reason that those.
I mean, I'm not keeping Barb, I'd like to get to the point where the only time we're using that animal shelter is to turn over a dog that needs to be euthanized because he's 20 years old. He's already lived his life with his family, and it's time to go on.
Sure.
But I don't see that happening because of the reservations and what we have going on. I mean, they just take them dogs out there and throw them. I've seen them do it out in San Mateo.
Well, working at the animal shelter is a hard job.
Oh, yes.
It's a dirty job, and it's a dangerous job.
It's
And
tough.
I would just challenge anyone in our community to come and volunteer and see if they could come and do the work that these people that are employed to do the work. I want to thank you for your time. Have a great windy day.
Thank you. Approval of the regular city council meeting minutes. I found a correction on number 5, EPA placement of San Mateo Creek Basin. It has 3 A's, no I's. There was 1 abstention. Ms. Reynolds abstained from that one. That's the only correction I've found. Did anybody else find any corrections? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for last meeting with that correction. Going once.
Oh. I move that we approve the city council meeting minutes of Monday, April 2nd, 2018.
Second. Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Cyril? Councilor Payan? Thank you. Airport project update.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
How are you?
Today I'm doing good. How's everyone
Good to
doing?
see you again.
I know, long time no see. Last time I saw you had long
A
hair.
whole lot of hair, didn't I?
Yeah, it looks good. I was telling Tim you walked in and I didn't recognize you right away. And I was like, what's in there? It looks good though. I like it. Do I need to grab the microphone or am I?
No, you go right ahead. Can everybody hear her back there?
Everybody good?
You go right ahead.
Cool. Okay, so I'm here to just give you guys an update on your airport projects. First of all, we'll talk about the project that happened last year, which you guys are all familiar with. I know you were at the grand opening ceremony last November. The runway's been open since. Everything's been mostly great. First of all, I just want to show you guys kind of a video that we had prepared. It's just a good visual tool. I know you go out on the airport and it's a big long piece of pavement, and it's just really hard to see the before and after unless kind of you have an aerial view. So we have this done. It's kind of something we've been doing more recently. I think this is the first one we've done in the state. Oh, come on now.
Fiber optics. Technology's great when it works. But
I know. Okay, is that working? Okay. So on the right-hand side, you have the new runway. And unfortunately, when we shot this, is a little dusty, so there's all the dirt on it, which is something we learned for the future. But so if you look at the runway before reconstruction on the left, you can see all these longitudinal cracks, transverse cracks all over the place. So it's kind of a nice visual to just really side by side. So what they did is we hired somebody to fly the runway before it was reconstructed and then after at the same speed. So just kind of a cool tool we wanted to show you guys. Like I said, I know it's hard to see when you're out there because it's flat. But man, you can see how old and just damaged that pavement is, and it doesn't stop. That entire length, that pavement is that damaged. So anyway, we wanted to kind of show you that, give you guys a good visual of what you got out of that project. I was talking to Laura earlier. We have had some issues with the lighting. I know we fought really hard for that LED lighting system, and we were having a handful of lights that were not working intermittently for no rhyme or reason. It wasn't connected to the temperature, it wasn't connected to the time of day, and we've had meetings over and over again trying to figure this thing out, and it came down to it being a manufacturing issue. Which was good. I mean, it was good that they were able to pinpoint the issue, and now we're working on getting it resolved. So we're working to try to close this project out, because like you guys know, this runway's been open since last year. So the manufacturer's been out there, they've replaced all the lights that aren't working. All the lights are working right now. It's kind of a temporary fix. The manufacturer's working on a more permanent solution that's gonna give Ray lights that he's happy with for years and years and years. So actually this next week we have a flight inspection for the FAA to come out, and they'll fly the lights and make sure all the lights are working appropriately and that they can commission the lighting system. And then from there we should be able to close out the project. And Dawn, I know I was talking to you about that, get Mountain States paid for that final invoice. So we're really close on this one. It's just been some weird issues at the end that were unforeseen. Otherwise the runway looks great. Mountain States did a really good job. So I think everyone's really happy with it. So with that being said, you guys still have your 2018 project coming up that we've been working on. So that's a pavement maintenance job for the apron and taxiway. Those pavements are still old, so we're working to maintain those. Actually, that project, so we have a pre-bid May 15th, and then we're opening bids in 3 weeks or so, May 23rd. So we'll roll right into your guys' next project. Everything looks good. This project this year will be much smaller scale. I mean, I think our estimate for it is 110,000 or so compared to this one. It's a few million. So everything's going well. Ray's doing a great job out there. You know, we really appreciate our working relationship with you guys, and we're excited to move on to the next project. Get this big one closed out.
Questions? Sydney? Manny?
The lighting will be fixed, right?
Yeah, and what we had done, so when the manufacturer came back out there and they replaced all the malfunctioning lights, we had them update their warranty as well from the time that the lights have been working continuously. So the warranty just started over.
All of it, but is this in the wiring or is the light itself?
It's the light itself. It's a really strange deal. So they found out that, and this is my take on it, I'm by no means an electrical engineer, but it actually had to do with the sun, the positioning of the runway and the lights and the sun, and that light was hitting the optic in the light fixture itself ever so perfectly on some of those lights that the light was generating its own voltage on top of the voltage that's being fed to it, and it was overpowering itself and shutting it down.
It was just shut down.
Which is a freak type deal. And so there's a way that they can just override that function or mess with the optic to move it so it doesn't catch that light. But yeah, just a really strange deal. I mean, it should be a case study because we approached the manufacturer, nobody knew what the problem was. I mean, the contractor didn't want to take responsibility for it. The manufacturer didn't, nobody knew whose fault it really was.
And that's why I'm asking, because I want to make sure that we get what we paid for and work for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're having troubles now in the beginning, and that's why I asked about the wiring, and it says it's only a light, and it has to do with how you set the light up and the sensing of the sun and everything. I just want to make sure we get our money first, and our warranty stays up.
Yeah, no, it's a big concern for us too, because like I said, I know Ray was really excited for the LEDs. We fought for the money to get LED lights, and we were pumped, and then, bam, right away, it didn't work. And, so I think, you know, I will say the manufacturer, ADB, they're really proud of what they do, and they've made it a point to us that it's really important for them to reinsure their product. So they're telling us they're going to do whatever it takes.
Good.
So I feel confident in it.
You already have it.
You already have it.
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah, as I was looking at the video, you know, the old runway had grass along it.
On the edges or in the cracks?
Yeah, and then also the new one, you know, it was graded and it's dirt shoulders. Is there any grass or any shrubs planted there that maintains that slope?
And that's a good question. So, so this was flown almost immediately after construction. So they had done the seeding, but just nothing's taken yet.
Okay.
So yes, there should be in the future stuff.
Once we get rain.
Give me rain or give me plants.
Once we get some rain, bro. Brett? Laura?
So, you have an agreement before the council, and I'm just trying to see if there's local money involved, or is it all other components? Is there supposed to be an agreement in here? No?
Not that I've seen.
Okay, no, this is something else.
Did you send that in too? No,
It's
okay.
for the pond lighting project.
I mean, I know you guys will be coming out for selection.
Yes, we got it.
later this year, but
It's coming up on the 15th and then the 20,
I can't remember.
something like that, 28, I don't know what it is. 28 is Memorial Day, so it ain't that day. 26, maybe 27. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, thanks.
Pond lighting project, so we can quit flooding people out. You're right.
Mayor, Council, as you guys are aware, we've been required by the state to address the lining of the ponds. And anyway, we put it out to bid. Recently, we had an evaluation and interviews, and Forsgren and Associates scored the highest. And today, Kent from Forsgren is here to speak to you guys, and give you guys additional detail. So what we need to do is have a plan for the rest of the ponds, but line Pond J. And Mr. Kent will give you guys some more information.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. As you know, one of the ongoing challenges for the city is the wastewater treatment. As part of the MED agreement, the groundwater permits, we need to create Pond J and a pond in case the nutrient plant goes offline. We could win that battle. And then we also need to look at lining the other ponds, sampling the other ponds. So this work, in addition to lining Pond J, giving you design jet, construction management for that. We're also trying to find alternatives. We want to do pond sampling and revisit that permit to reduce the overall construction cost of what the state has in that permit. Included in the contract before you is mapping of almost 500 acres, aerial mapping, environmental clearance, sampling the bottom of all those ponds to see which ones are actually have the heavier nitrate loads, options, design of Pond J, and then construction management of Pond J.
As soon as we come online, shouldn't all the nitrates be taken care of? Everything should be good, right? Right now, the only reason we got high nitrates is because the plant is 26 years old and ready to die. Is that correct?
That is most possibly
Right?
correct.
That's what we've been told along the way, and that's why we're
Yes.
paying all this money for a
Yes, sir.
brand new plant, correct?
Right. So
Okay.
when the plant's online, we can.
I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here now.
No, we are on the same page. That's why we have to check these ponds
Yes.
themselves.
Has the New Mexico Fire Department ordered us to line all of those ponds, or just
It is currently conditioned to the groundwater permit, which,
for all of them, or just J?
no, all of them.
All of them,
But
okay.
on J for, to get that plant.
Yeah,
approved, so
to
that's-
get it ready to go.
That has to be in their office, the plans by July.
Yeah, okay.
So you're talking about all the golf?
All the ponds in the golf course, starting with Pond J, you know which one that is, right?
Yeah, that's the initial.
The initial one, the big one up on top. Okay.
And I might, obviously we'll meet with the golf course, work with them in detail.
Yes.
How long does the lining last?
The line we'll be putting in there will be good for, it's gonna be a poly liner, so it'll be good for 20 to 50 years.
Same stuff that we use out at the landfill.
What was used?
Nothing, clay.
Clay.
Clay and a roller to pack it.
There was no lining?
No.
I was under the impression they had
No,
put some type of powder that's supposed to harden.
it was with the clay.
Mine belt, bentonite.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to count for that.
Yeah.
They typically use a bentonite, but if it's exposed to the sun, it dries out, it cracks.
Cracks, it's no problem.
Gotcha.
Questions on it? Besides me? Go ahead, Cindy.
When you're gonna map this whole area, like about every square foot, right?
We're going, I don't know if you saw in your packet, but we're going to map the entire golf course and then some area of the city on south of there. So we got 1 foot contour mapping that, because we're trying to come up with maybe a more creative solution to save money. But then you will have this mapping, yes, in addition to the golf course.
Okay, how is that going to affect the operation of the golf course when you're doing your mapping?
Oh, the mapping itself, our surveyors are going to go out there and shoot pipes around the golf course, and then we'll set about, actually only 4 10 by 10 X white panels that the aerial mapper will see to calibrate the model. It's no big deal as far as the mapping. The surveyors will be out there maybe a week, and the panels will be out there for, unless the kids destroy it.
So that it won't interfere with the golfers?
I don't know how.
You don't know.
If I'm the survey crew, I'm gonna be trying to communicate with the golfers, but, there may be some interference where, hey, we need to take shots here.
Okay.
It should be minimal,
So we don't have to close the golf course down?
not for the mapping, or even if the construction, when the construction will phase it, that's why I interjected. golf
No,
course
Rick and
interaction.
Sydney, we're not gonna take your fun time away. We're not gonna take your fun time away, I promise, guys. Yeah.
You gotta pay for those golf carts, you know?
That's the same thing, it's the same thing, the same type of mapping that they did out at the airport, guys. It's the same type of stuff, and when they start surveying, it'll just be, hey, could you get out of the way while I take this shot? I mean, it's gotta be done, so let's do it. Anything else?
No.
Any questions, anything else?
Well, I kind of do.
Go with it.
I'm on the agreements page. Okay, it's page 1 of agreement for engineering services. And I checked my copy. It looks like something was taken out and nothing's been put into the space.
Do you have it in front of you, ma'am?
I have it in front of me. I have hard copy and online. It's the same thing online. It's like number 2, you read number 2, it comes to an end, a period. Then there's a blank, and then it starts in Cibola County with, and the "in" is not capitalized, so it leads me to believe something should have been in the spot.
This
Or
is
not.
This is a New Mexico Environment Department form, and you can only add
I know
certain
because I
things.
read this whole thing.
Yes. My stuff.
Page after page after page. So there isn't anything.
It's acceptable, I mean, the state's reviewed it. What's important in this agreement, it's very confusing, I didn't design it. Everything's an attachment, scope of work, and the.
Okay, so we'll make it a capital I. Okay.
Anything else? gonna have to handle each one of these individually. Design phase, planning phase.
There's a whole bunch of things that we need to sign.
The signatures, yes.
Uh-huh.
It's me.
A whole bunch.
Hey, did you look, I mean, you got all these different amounts. Okay, so I think we gotta approve them all individually, guys.
In that case, yes, Mayor, would be the planning phase, the design phase, and the construction services phase. So it'd be 3 phases.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's do the design phase first, Exhibit A to golf course pond lighting. This fee proposal is a planning phase, it's for $122,124. I'll entertain a motion for the planning phase of this thing. For the amount of $122,124.
When you scroll down to the page, so I know the dollar amount. I'm scrolling as fast as.
That's why I did the hard copy.
I'm scrolling.
It's Exhibit A. That's it.
Mayor Hicks, you have the incorrect amounts, so.
So who gave me the paperwork, Donald?
Since you're taking, while it's broken down, you're looking at the wrong number.
How am I looking at the, come here, show me,
Our
dude.
numbers are less.
Come here, Donald, show me on this paperwork, I'm looking at the wrong numbers, buddy. Come here and show me. Yeah, this is what I'm reading. Show me where these phone numbers are wrong. Why are these in my packet if they're wrong? Exhibit A.
Use the correct ones.
Check it out, Exhibit A, $122,124. Okay? Exhibit B, show me Exhibit B on yours. I got 72,000. You got 73,000. Okay? And Exhibit C on mine is 78,000. What do you got for yours?
Is that including tax?
Yeah. Fee,
Okay.
this phase is with NMGRT.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think that's including tax.
Right, because here's the 113 on the
And
line
there's the
before, and
tax.
there's the tax.
So I'd say my numbers are right and your numbers are wrong, Donald?
Your numbers are correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
They're just with tax.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure since you're taking action, it was correct.
Well, we are taking action, that's what we're here to do, right? Okay, back to Exhibit A. Did everybody find Exhibit A? $122,124 for the planning fee phase of this project. And I'll entertain a motion for that amount to Forrest Burns and Associates.
I make a motion that we approve the planning phase exhibit A for 122, 124.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Manny?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Okay. Exhibit B. This is the design phase, $72,492. And this does include the New Mexico GRT. And I'll entertain a motion for the design phase to Forrest Grinson and Associates. We gotta have it, guys, go at once.
I'm right almost there. Exhibit B. I move that we approve the fee proposal for the design phase for the ponds in the amount of $72,492.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Voskis? Council Lucero?
Yes.
Council Padilla?
Yes.
And the last one is construction phase, which is $78,612. I'll entertain a motion for that amount to Forrest Burns and Associates.
Next, okay, I move that we approve the fee proposal for the construction phase of Pond J only in the amount of $78,612.
Second.
I second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Voskis? Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Councilor Padilla?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, Council.
You know, there's one thing that does bother me about this. The construction fee is way less than design and planning.
That's for 3 days on site for 12 weeks. I can raise the design and planning.
Yeah. Alrighty. First Street design.
I'll include tax this time. By the way, what you just approved, you guys approved late last year a loan of over $1 million. Anyway, this is part of that, so it'll come out of that loan to address that issue. Just FYI. Okay, First Street from Harrison to Roosevelt has been at 90% design for a while, several years. And there's a small pot of funds under an agreement with DOT that, I don't know, something about you don't like to give back funds to the federal government. They get unhappy about it, something like that. So anyway, we'd like to complete First Street. A couple months ago, you guys approved from Washington to Harrison. And this is just that last phase. So then all of First Street will be at 100%. Madio is here from Wilson & Company to give you additional information.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'll give you a little bit of history, maybe that'll help. Going way back in time in the 90s, the DOT actually conducted a study on 3 major roadway facilities. First Street was one, Second, and Roosevelt. Between the mid-90s and the early 2000s, the planning efforts that were led by the DOT were shelved. In the mid-2000s, with previous administration, the desire to get those streets reconstructed was important, and it became even more important, as some of you or many of you have seen, the drainage issues that really adversely affect the city. So these corridors are not only important for transportation, but they've been identified as major flood control facilities as well. About 3 or 4 years ago, and Mayor would remember this, we completed first phase of First Street, okay, which takes us from Santa Fe Avenue to Washington. One of the reasons, so you know why was there such a delay from the 90s when the DOT started this project, well, it was really tied to environmental issues. It was associated with the chlorinated plume that was relatively shallow, and that prevented excavation in the area, and could basically a pretty significant environmental issue that we had to overcome. So since then, we've proven that we can reconstruct the road. More recently, the manager, myself, staff have met with DOT, have working with the Council of Governments, have really shared with them the importance of putting these streets back on the near future in terms of finishing the construction on 2nd Street, 1st Street, and eventually onto Roosevelt. That being said, the DOT agreed that they would put 1st Street on the STIP, State Transportation Improvement Plan, but they would put it in out years, meaning they would put it in future years in the planning phase, with a commitment from the city that if we can get the project fully designed and shovel ready, it would give the DOT the flexibility to move those out years forward when federal fiscal year dollars become available for construction. And so what you have before you is the engineering services to take it to 100%. It's essentially 3 major components. The environmental piece of it needs to be completed. There's significant TCPs, temporary construction permits, that we need to also complete. It's part of the federal process. And then finally, the final engineering services so that we can get it ready and approved. And with that, what we're doing is, again, we're just getting it ready on our end, meeting the city's commitment to finish the design and have it shovel ready so that in the very near future, that the construction dollars will become available on the federal side to complete this facility. So with that, I'll pause and take any questions.
Sydney?
So just so around what is the cost? Tell me how much.
You should have a spreadsheet in your handout. It's about $109,000.
Is it $109,792?
And that's without GRT.
Without GRT, thank you, Mayor.
And then I think the memo, which I don't believe was in your packet, some of the memos didn't make the hard copy packet, but it says there's a balance, and I'm guessing in the transportation funds of $3,248. That would come out of the, I believe it's state funding.
That is correct, Ms. Manager. It's actually a cooperative agreement, but it's federal funding. It's enhancement dollars from the feds. And then we went ahead just, some folks like to see the visuals. One of the items for you to be aware is that when we did phase 1, Obviously, we always have budgetary restraints, so there's no landscaping, but we did put seeding in for future landscaping. It's something for you to maybe consider in the future, as well as maybe a different project in the future to get some landscaping. Because what we've seen over the years is the city's trend and development is you've got Main Street downtown, kind of the Riverwalk area, but we do see the northern area, your comp plan shows it, this future residential and commercial development begins to occur to the north. So these First and Second Street become very important for moving traffic through the city.
Man?
When you're talking about improving our First Street, are you including lighting?
The design will be provided. When we bid it, we're going to bid it in what we call a base bid and alternates.
Okay.
So the lighting, for example, that's an easy package to put as an add-on. And for a number of reasons, I don't know how much you're reading, every day you see a new update on CNN or something, but a month ago we had the increase in tariffs for steel and aluminum. Well, that jumps up costs, right? And so we don't know what's going to happen today or in a month or
Well, it
6
hasn't
months.
jumped up no price because it hasn't taken effect yet.
Well, there's still negotiations,
Yeah,
but suppliers have actually jumped up the price here. We're seeing it in the supply market.
Are you guys, looking at LED lighting?
How can they both?
It would be LED lighting.
It will be, is that what we have now?
Not on First Street. I don't know what you have on Route 66. I would suspect you probably do. I would suspect that the DOT is moving.
We don't have LED
Nope.
at all.
Okay.
And
But any of the new lighting, that's what we do.
did you guys do the first part of First Street?
We did, but we didn't put any lighting up. Not that I'm aware of, unless somebody come in and put lighting later.
No,
We
I
put in
thought,
the infrastructure.
but not the lighting.
No. Donnie, were you aware that was still any of the lighting?
I don't believe so.
No, I know we put in the infrastructure.
On First Street?
You have it in there
There's new
now.
lighting down First Street, guys.
Huh?
There's new lighting down First Street.
But it's not considered
Yeah,
LED.
the lighting was
The
done.
LED lighting. Go ahead, Mr. Fisher, tell us about it.
The lighting was put in by Continental Divide.
There you go.
High pressure sodium.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to propose that we start using LED. It's-
Immediately.
Yes, because the industry is going there, and before you know it, the high-pressure sodiums are gonna be obsolete. They're not gonna support them in a few years.
Right, yeah, and most of the lighting that we've done in the last 5 or 6 years has all been LED.
Yes, okay.
And plus,
It's
if guys are cost.
typically required by
I
the
just
client.
noticed First Street, they didn't have LED, and I'm
Sure.
like, what?
Yeah, it's not our designs.
Okay.
Mario, could you fill in the blanks why the city of Grants is not doing paving First Street? Just tell us why.
I'm sorry, explain why
The city of Grants is not doing paving First Street, why we're not doing it, why we're looking at all that.
Oh, okay, yeah, so historically, First and Second were considered a one-way pair, and it's what the feds call functionally classified. So by that, it meant that it was considered collector or higher, and it's an FHA definition for mobility. So it became a very important facility for mobility, and so they, essentially, the DOT had jurisdiction, and you had a maintenance agreement with the DOT on that. So if you do any landscape, you have a landscape agreement. If you do any major signage, you're gonna have some sort of airspace agreement. All of the maintenance falls onto you, and so with these types of facilities, the enhancements are costly, so we go after federal dollars. That's why hence why we're going after the type of funding we're going after. Any other questions?
We were looking at changing First Street into a two-way street. Did that come into play?
It's been discussed a lot. It's been discussed a lot. I would caution you not to change, I believe I even said this to staff, I would caution you not to change it into a two-way until all the improvements are complete and you have yourself a 20-year design roadway. And then you can ask for roadway transfer and you own it, because you're already maintaining.
Right.
So you might as well own it. But wait till it's built, right? Okay. So you can come from here.
Rick, any more questions?
No.
Fred? Laura? And this will be 100% from where we left off there, the bridge, all the way down, right?
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve $109,792
Plus tax.
and 94 cents plus tax for project mapping and environment and the ADA ramps and pond modification
To Wilson and
to
Company.
Wilson and Company.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds.
Yes.
Council Vasquez. Council Lucero.
Yes.
Council Palia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mario.
council.
Number 5 has been tabled. Go to number 6. Ordinance amendment to the ordinance for the property maintenance code. Are you doing this one, Robert, or is Laura doing it?
Oh, did you table it, or?
No, we tabled your report.
Tables your report.
Oh, okay.
We ain't tabling work, buddy. We're just tabling your report. Okay? We ain't about to let you get out of work.
want to hear you speak.
Monty will see you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, the purpose of this amendment is to eliminate the inapplicable Board of Appeals so that the order of authority for demolition is code enforcement official, City Council, District Court, and the order of authority for all other citations is code enforcement official, planning and zoning, City Council, and District Court. This means the City Council will hear and rule on all demolition recommendations, but for citations such as weed and vermin citations, the City Council will only act as an appeal body. Second, to eliminate the inapplicable Department of Property Maintenance Inspection, and this amendment mimics the last property maintenance code.
Questions? Sydney? Manny? Rick? Fred? I entertain a motion for ordinance 18-1229 to amend the property maintenance code.
Make a motion on the ordinance 18-1229 amendment to the ordinance of 17-1220/2015 property maintenance.
Second.
A second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero?
Yes.
Council Palia?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Resolution designating city property as open for public use for the Riverwalk Trail. Smile, man, come on.
Okay, Riverwalk Trail update, we're currently in the property acquisition process, so there's 3 properties that have identified that they're going to receive some funds. And anyway, along the trail, there's some city property. This resolution is basically you guys identifying that area for the Riverwalk Trail.
Questions, Sydney?
No.
Manny?
No.
Rick? No. Fred? No. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 18-1585.
I move to approve the resolution 18-1585.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
No.
Council Vasquez?
Yes.
Council Lucero?
Yes.
Council Palia? Yes. Thank you. Next, Auditor's Tax Board.
Good evening, city councilors, mayor, and
Scott, what's happening?
manager, not much. I don't know what order to do these in because I don't know what kind of flyer you guys have. I can go either each individual one or.
American Legion's the first one.
Okay. Okay, I see how you broke it down. All right. So we can just, you want to go down the list or do all of them?
Yeah, we gotta do them one at a time.
Okay.
We gotta approve them one at a time.
So going down the list, the American Legion event, we, as a board, and if you had any questions how we came up on it, I can go over that also, but it shows here the past year, we gave out 5, this year they asked for 10, and we awarded 10 based on the funds that we had to give out.
And Laura is recommending 3. Laura, you wanna talk about that?
Or we recommended, we didn't award, we just recommended. So,
We're fixing to do the awards now.
okay, that's, doesn't matter to me. I didn't have a vote anyways.
I went through and I looked at the proposals very carefully. I looked at who followed directions, how much effort was put into the proposal. One of the things that I tried to make aware that Lodgers Funds is supposed to bring people in to spend the night. And so I had put in the proposal, it should be for advertising outside of grants. So if people have in their proposal that they were gonna put a banner in town doesn't help bring people from out of town. Putting ads in our local newspaper does not necessarily bring people in from out of town. So I looked at things like that. I looked at past history and how effective some had done in the past, and I put what I thought the award should be on the far right column. The middle was what the lodger's tax recommended.
And the first one was what we gave them last year. Bikers versus Bulls, what do you guys want to do? Board's recommending 3, the board gave them 10. Last year they got 5. I'll entertain a motion for whichever you guys want to do.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
How many people do we get to this event?
Richard?
How many people get last year?
We probably got upwards of 800 to 1,000. And advertising, we've got it advertised all over the state of New Mexico. Every American Legion post in the state, they have a poster, they have a flyer, they have the times, the dates, everything. And that's Easy Rider magazine, which is nationwide. It's advertised in that. It's all over the state of New Mexico, part of Arizona, and anybody gets the Easy Rider magazine. Or anybody that's on the email list of any American Legion post in this country.
I believe last year they got about 150, maybe 200, and mostly locals.
We had
to get some
78.
vendors out here, young people sell stuff.
Rodeo grounds is where we do it.
Right. We have vendors coming from, we have some coming from Moriarty this year. We have the kids from the high school, the snow cone deal. We've got some food vendors coming from Arizona already. I mean, we don't have it all published yet because we haven't signed a contract with them yet. But, you know, we have the promise of it coming. We're getting it out all everywhere. So.
Guys, I don't have a problem with this, okay? It's up to you. I don't get a vote unless we tie here. So I'll entertain a motion for whatever you guys want to give them.
Well, I have a question.
Go ahead,
It's gonna
Cindy.
maybe
Like I
be
said,
a while.
questions, shoot them out. Shoot them out.
First off, it's going to apply, my question's going to apply to every single one of these
You go for
entities.
it.
Did they spend the money we allocated last year?
Scott?
Did they spend all that money? Do they have any left over?
They have 0. I mean,
They
the
spent-
one we're talking about right
The
now.
one we
Did you
tried
spend it?
on right now?
They don't
Mrs.
have,
Jones?
We do have left over.
you didn't show that on our deal. You don't. I don't think
Yeah,
out
I
of,
know there's left over.
but that might have been from what you guys made, not what you used to advertise.
No, about what we allocated.
Right.
Yeah, let's say
Last
the
year,
5,000 we gave you last year. Did you spend all of it?
Yes.
There you go.
Well, there's
all you
zero
got.
left then.
It's all written out.
Thank you.
Zero balance,
To this date, yeah.
Because that's what we want you to do, is spend it,
yeah.
okay?
We spent it. I spent it.
Next?
Well, I feel uncomfortable going from what the Lodgers Tax Board recommended of 10,000 down to 3,000.
Okay, make a motion for whichever number you want, girl. I
Well,
mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I don't have a problem with the 10 grand, guys. I have a problem with the name of the event,
you
which
don't
they
like
said
the
they're gonna
event.
fix.
You
No, the
don't like
name.
that name.
Not the event itself, just the name. And they said they're gonna fix that. I've got no problem with it, guys.
I mean, I'd like to just give what the Lodgers
Make that
Tax Board
Make the motion.
suggested.
Make that motion.
I would move that we accept the recommendations of the Lodgers Tax Board.
I second.
$10,000 for Bikers versus Bulls. Because we gotta do each one of them individually.
No,
Okay, so go ahead, 10,000, right, for Bikers versus Bulls?
10,000 for the bikers, for
Second.
American Legion.
There you go, second.
The American
Thank you.
Legion,
Second.
Councilor Reynolds,
yes.
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Fred. Second one, Cibola Arts Council, 8, 8, and 8.
I'd say leave it at 8.
Okay, so make the motion.
I make a motion to fund the city, Cibola Arts Council for $8,000.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds,
Yes.
Council Vasquez?
Yes.
Council Lucero?
Yes.
Council Palia?
Yes.
Next one, Chamber of Commerce. 130, 130, 127 from the manager.
I'd like to see it at 130 for the Chamber of Commerce.
Laura, you want to comment and ask why?
Well, I just feel like, I think I put at the top of your sheet that I feel like a lot of our nonprofits have been very reliant on the city, and I would like to see more effort for them to do membership drives, fundraisers, applying for grant funding, and not be so reliant on the city of grants.
You know, guys,
And I agree.
here's one thing I got with the chamber. Where's my chamber out there? Is Walmart and Walgreens in the chamber yet? Are they members?
We're working on their membership.
How about Ray Rennan? Is he a member? La Ventana?
No, he's not.
Because every time he gets a bill, he writes on it, why don't you guys give me a call, and he sends it back to you. No one's ever called that man. And that's coming right out of his mouth to my face. And I'd like to know what's going on, that we're outreaching these people that are asking for us to call them and whatnot, as they are businesses in our town.
And I haven't seen anything about the dispensaries either.
Yeah, I mean, is
They're a
Eric
vital
Garcia and Mr. Gordon, are they a member of it? But they're both brand new businesses here in town in the last 2 years. Walgreens, Walmart, there's a bunch of businesses that aren't in there. Have you got any outreach to them to see what's up?
We do. We outreach to them. The change in management with Walgreens and Walmart is probably the main issue that we have with their management, and is them wanting to, I think Walgreens told us that their corporate office told them that they were not able to be a local member of the chamber. However, we found out that through, I think, Rio Rancho or Albuquerque, they are a member. So we're working on that. Actually, Team 66 and the Chamber of Commerce will be meeting pretty soon with them to let them know about the initiatives and the opportunities that our group works hard on to collaborate in our community. So that's in process.
I would like to see you go talk to Ray Rennan personally, to Eric Garcia, to Andy Gordon, and to see why these people aren't a member of the chamber, please. Go and look at them in the face so they can ask you the questions they have. Because they're asking me these questions. I'm not a member of the chamber, I can't answer them.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Any other questions about the chambers?
Yeah, I would like to add to this. I've been involved with the chamber and Team 66 and Main Street and all that, and I see how much work they do and the limited volunteers they have. So everybody that's out there has 3 hats that they're doing, and unless you volunteer and go see what's really happening, you would appreciate the hard work they do. I know they leave a lot on Silver City, Las Cruces, Albuquerque, and that's family time that you miss out. So I do. I really, really am very pleased with the work you guys do, because I've been involved with you guys, and I don't go to everything because there's no way. And you guys are our voice and our face out there, and we need to keep doing that. So I make a motion to approve $130,000 for the chamber.
Second. Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Councilor Padilla? Next one. Historic Society, 4,000, 4,000, and 4,000. Anybody here from the Historic Society? There he is.
Steve.
What's up, Steve?
Questions?
Questions for Steve? Heck yeah.
Well, you know, we're short on volunteers, but we have had an average over the last several years of about 300 people. On 52 Saturdays, we're only open for half a day Saturday because of our visitor limits, but we have spent all of our money this fiscal year, basically, on our Route 66 and the interstate corridors for the rack cards. That's our primary benefit. And again, each day that we're open, we're open for 4 hours, and the average is about 5.5 visitors per day there.
Any other questions? Anybody else got a question for Steve? No. Thank you, Steve. I'll make the motion, somebody.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve the $4,000 for this center.
Second.
I second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Councilor Padilla?
Yes.
Next one, Grants Rodeo Association, 42.5, 43,000. I recommend 43,000. Questions? Jamie's sitting out there. If you guys want to ask her a question, I'm sure she can answer. How are you, Jamie?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good. Any questions about the Rodeo Association? And the 10 events you're doing, what are they?
I'm sorry, what?
The 10 events, it says here, that you got 10 events, right?
Right, we have the junior.
4th of July.
Junior 4th of July, of course. We have the Mother's Day 3-day barrel race. We have the Super Triple Crown. We have a rodeo out of Albuquerque. We have 3 Indian rodeos, which incidentally, we had one last weekend, and there was 177 horses on that facility. It was a big success. There was 122 contestants, and most of these people come from Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, from all different tribes. This was their finals that they had here.
Cool.
They came to us from Red Rock, so we've been having a lot of native input into the rodeo system. In fact, we're out of money right now.
Next year, you might want to up it a little.
I did try this year, but
They wrote down that they left your $500 out. I knew you was gonna complain about your $500. They typoed it out. They typoed it out on us when they came with the total. Their original request was 43,500.
For 43,500?
That was their original request.
Okay, that's my recommendation for the rodeo
We
association.
won't
We
have
don't
the
have
extra
it.
if you're giving.
If you
all
give
the others
$500
there.
more?
Yep.
We have to tally.
Right. It's got to be around.
Yeah.
Well, there's your balance right there. If you want to give the Main Street 10,000, we could give them 9,500.
Okay, Laura, wait, remember we talked about this, we're working off of a conservative budget that she gave.
Yeah, if you give
So-
all the others in the middle row, then you're gonna have to
But-
keep that or less.
Won't we know, remember the question I brought up the last meeting, won't we know 2 months after July actually what we
If you
took
add
in?
that
and
up,
what?
We're
it's
in
way
this
more than
row.
this one.
Yeah, but I adjusted over in this row because I had taken some from others.
we don't want to cut anybody else, and we'll come big and come to the end of July.
You got it.
Is the 43 adequate?
For now, it is.
I mean, for all your events that you put on?
We're going to be short because I'm already out of money.
How short are you?
About $4,600. But that'll come. We'll take what we got.
Okay.
In that case, I make a motion to give the Rodeo Association $43,000.
Second. Councilor Reynolds.
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez, Councilor Lucero.
Yes.
Councilor Padilla.
Yes.
Next, New Mexico Mining Museum. 81,000 is what they got last year. The board is recommending 85,000, which is a $3,000 raise. The city manager is recommending to stay at 81,000.
What was your total on that, Moody? What was your total?
85,000 is the recommendation of the Lodgers Tax Board. You guys got 81,000 last year.
Okay, we had asked for 90,000 with the increase of services and electricity, utilities and stuff like that, we're trying to cover that. We're expanding our base to try to get more people into town here, realizing that we are the only uranium capital museum in the world. We do get people from all different countries come here, get a lot of them spend the night. We started the registry here in 14, capturing fluorspar, Zunis. We went into Cardinal Coal into Gallup, trying to get people to come over from Gallup to look at the registry. We're currently talking to the people in York Canyon, the people, heirs of, or old miners and families in Raton. One of our goals at the museum here is to build the registry, not just recognizing uranium miners, but all miners in the state of New Mexico. Being centrally located, this will bring people, I think, from everywhere in the state to come see families and names and pictures and things that we can gather about anybody who mined in our state.
We expanded to cover the first ever state fair parade with our head frame and liner on the back last year. We signed up to do that again this year. So we're outreaching to expand our opportunities there as well.
And you're saying we don't have 90,000 to give them?
No.
We worked off the budget that we were provided. Now, we didn't know if we have final numbers and in November more money would be available next year or not, right? That's still up in the air. If lodger's tax is actually up this year versus what it was last year. There's all projected.
Questions? Sydney?
No question?
Manny?
Roger, you have any money left over? Do you have any money left over?
No.
From last year?
No.
Not at all?
We bought an additional billboard this last year too, 22 grand by Gallo to help with the advertising. So we do that, and we have a lot of handouts at the museum. We have pins, buttons, and I know it's nickel and dime stuff, but when you get 10,000 people a year, it adds up.
What we show still left through March was $22,000, but that still has to cover the April, May, June bills. So that's the printout we have right now.
Questions, Rick? No? Fred?
No, sir.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we provide the New Mexico Mining Museum $85,000 as recommended by the Lodgers Tax Board.
Second.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero?
Yeah.
Councilor Padilla? Main Street. The recommendation from the board is $5,000.
If you have the questions as to why, I can cover that for you too.
Why?
We were working off the budget that they provided for the next fiscal year. At the time frame there, they were actually asking for 25,000 for an event that, like during the fires and stuff, that was gonna take place in the mountains.
Oh, and it's been canceled.
And their director had
Yeah.
left, so it's kind of one of those deals where we were up in the air on knowing.
What to do?
We're trying to approve it based on the budget, and their budget doesn't really say what they're gonna do in the next fiscal year. So it's kind of like we were stuck having to come up with a number. So we go, we really don't want to leave them with nothing or not give them anything to advertise. So we plug that number until they basically come up with a plan or come up with more numbers of the event that they're going to put on this year. So that's pretty much how we ended up with that amount.
Well, I really think they deserve the $10,000 because they are moving on a lot of things and getting themselves out all over the state.
All it was that we approved was everything outside of the big event that they were going to do. So we didn't know they were going to do an event. They didn't have anything on paper, and we're approving a budget that they handed us.
So if you guys,
The Main Street right now still shows that they have $10,000 in the bank from the end of March.
and that would be for this year's event through June.
That they gotta
This
spend.
money would not be available till after in July.
Right.
Now, if you guys are approving in the middle column,
We have to
you
continue.
gotta stay in there. You can't, because
There's no
the
more money.
extras that I moved around were from other people and you've not cut any of the others. So you can't add more to somebody else now.
Y'all made a commitment.
Right.
That's right.
I move to approve the 5,000.
Second.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
No.
Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Councilor Padilla? Passes 3-1.
And that's the same one where we went, if it becomes up, we would know if we have a pool, they can come back later in the year.
Okay. Last one, Mount Taylor Quad. Oh, no, it's not the last one.
So 10,000 is all been asked for.
Yeah.
The quad does a heck of a job, guys. If they're only asking 10,000, give them 10,000.
I make
I'm
a
surprised
motion.
they went down.
I make a motion to, for Monticello Quad for $10,000.
Second.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Councilor Padilla?
Yes.
Okay, this New Mexico off-highway t-shirts, what is that?
It's the off-highway event that's partnering with the Main Street 7 Trails of Gold. So they're asking for money for their event t-shirts, and it would have to be
For next year.
for next year.
Right.
Yes. And we're saying if you do allocate it, it should really go to Main Street and they issue it out.
That's the way we normally had the 50K line up with the quad, but the reason why this got left separate is because we didn't know, again, what was Main Street gonna do this year, and I believe this guy already has 40 or 50 riders committed to come do this year.
He's close to 100 now.
He's up to 100
It's
people.
actually 250.
250, so, I mean, he's already got,
Yeah.
We're moving.
he's already got the commitment, so we know that people are coming, so we're like, well, I mean, he's done all the legwork to me, to get these guys to come here.
Can I ask a question? Are there contingency plans in case the forest is closed for that event in June?
I've been assured by the Forest Department that they will not close it down. That's right out of the district ranger's mouth. He said they'll go all the way down to all fire restrictions where there's no smoking and no fires up there. He says, but as far as closing it for this event in June, he says if he sees closures happening, it'll be in July and August. But that's usually when the monsoons come.
Well, we're already in stage 2 right now,
Oh, yes,
so.
yeah, but I mean, that's right out of the forest ranger's mouth, the district ranger's mouth, Alvin Whitehead. I wish he'd have came tonight, because I'd asked him about this on Friday morning for breakfast.
Right.
And he assured me that the mountains will not shut down, there will be no fires, no campfires, no smoking, no nothing, but they will not shut the mountains down. Okay?
Just curious.
But a contingency plan would probably be a good one in case they fire Alvin over starting the fire. I mean, you know, I mean, you never know what could happen there, okay?
So
I mean-
they'll just t-shirts
Yeah, it's just approving for teachers.
and go on to the Main Street.
Yeah, it would go to the Main Street.
Good.
And it will be for next June.
It'll actually, yeah, I think he's still putting on some sort of event this year.
Yeah.
But it can't, I mean, it's gonna happen in June, and this money doesn't get allocated till July, so.
I'll entertain a motion, 2007-25.
Yeah, motion to approve the 2007-25.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero?
Yes.
Councilor Padilla?
Yes.
The last one, LEDs on the east end of town.
Well, that came up over the years. The manual is even there in those years. We used to look at, one of the larger takes out of lodger's tax, which is still a take out of lodger's tax that's not listed on this form, was a $35,000 quarterly light bill that we can pay out of lodger's tax. So what we thought then is how can we reduce this cost? How can we drop this cost down so if we're having to pay a quarterly rate, we'd only have to pay maybe $10,000, and then we can have more money to give out to these other organizations that ask and still have a good, you know, have good things going on. So over the years also, we looked at, are we really increasing more and more things coming here? Are, you know, the events we have, are they bringing more and more people every year, or are we always still kind of the same? With the lighting package, I mean, if you're driving down the highway and you see an exit and it's nighttime, if it's not lit up real good, you're not gonna get off and stay there. So probably 80 to 90% of all your lodger's tax is generated at the east end of town, which, and a lot of your grocery receipts through Walgreens and Walmart is generated at that end of town. And I'm like, that should be one of the brightest things that you have to keep people here. Once they do pull off the highway, they go, oh, this is nice and safe, and we'll stay here. So we thought, well, that'll probably put more heads in beds than a lot of the same old things we do every year, you know. I mean, you guys get hit up for fireworks. We don't know how many people brings the grants, but this we go, at least if they're at that end of town, yeah, maybe they'll stay because it's bright, it's nice, and they feel safe. So that's where the original amount of money came from, but that was when we wanted the city to take back over your light bill. But now we go, let's just pencil something in because we had this budget to work with. And the reason why the number's odd was just to make it even with the amount of money that. Yeah, well, because, and then we said that too, why don't we just set money aside? Some of the board members that were there at the time goes, we've tried to do that in the past, and then when we go back to look for that money later, it no longer exists. It like got swept away somewhere. So they say, I would rather give it all out now than to hold some aside and hope that we have it later on in the year. So that's where we come up with that number. It's not a, and my idea was you start redoing the lights you already have with LED fixtures. Not trying to spend money on telephone poles and new lights and all that, you know.
Right, I told them that might cover half of a pole.
Yeah, that's why I said, no, we're not looking at poles. I mean,
Yeah.
originally, like I said, if you ever want to go out there at night, if you had somebody staying at a hotel and you said, hey, man, you had teenage kids and they go, look, Walmart, we're gonna walk to Walmart. I don't know if you've seen that stretch of road at night. You're probably not gonna let your teenage kids walk to Walmart on that road. That's why I said, well, maybe we could light it up someday, put sidewalks, something. I mean, that's big gross receipt pool you have there that people are going towards, so. That's where that number came from. That number can be anything. It just came to make the 310 even.
And you're being charged as far as the power.
For lodger's tax, we spend roughly $30,000 a year out of lodger's tax to pay light bills.
Between 30.
And it's billed on what, wattages?
Well, one time I went and, there's kind of a Divide guy here, but you guys are broke down by watts and bulbs and poles, basically, right now.
Right, they're not metered.
It's not metered.
So they're charging based on a 400 watt lamp.
Right.
Yes.
Per
So if
fixture.
you go to LED, you're probably being charged for 200 watt.
Right.
So right there, the savings in that.
And my original plan was, if you started doing that, you could almost, like I said, get 3 times the amount of lights in the city of Grants for the same price.
And they'll last longer.
Yes.
If you kept continuing dumping money into lights, light up the east end, light up the west end, light up Santa Fe, you know,
Yes.
get it all lit up right with the same funds, and it's other people's tax dollars.
Well, you know what, that's a great idea, and I think we talked about it before, and I would like to see spend $12,375 for streetlights on the east end of town.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero? Councilor Padilla? Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Scott. Inmate housing agreement,
You have in your
with
packet
Cibola County.
the agreement that was negotiated with Cibola County. Village of Milan, the city of Grants, sat with Cibola County manager and some of their staff, our police chief, and we negotiated the contract. Our daily fee is going up from $64 a day to $71 a day. And we tried to get them to come down on that, and they said they just couldn't afford to based on what they're paying for CIP. So we asked for a couple of different language changes in there, and I think they're in red in your packets, but we feel comfortable with this contract, and it's an update since they moved from the county detention center to
Questions?
I have a question. Since the counties, I don't want to bash the county, but since the county has contracted with Core Civic, and when you go to the Cibola County website and you click on detention center, over here is a little box that says, important information, call Core Civic. Why can't the city contract directly with Core Civic? Why do we contract with the county who's contracting with Core Civic? Why can't we,
I got the answer to that.
because I read through all this and there aren't any shells in any of these New Mexico codes.
By state law, the county is required to house our convicts.
I'm not, it doesn't say that in this document.
No, but in state law it does. The county it's one of the,
Is the county doing that?
They are
Indirectly.
through a contractor. They are. So if we contract directly, we have to have our own booking staff. So and then they would have to have their own booking staff. It would be a duplication of effort.
Services.
Okay.
We don't pay for that, right?
In a roundabout way, we do.
$71, that's.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
included in
$71
that,
includes paying for that.
in our daily fee.
Go ahead,
And the other thing is, you know, when it talks about medical expenses, it calls it medical expenses. Your medical expenses, does that cover, and it talks about in-house. I know that they have a couple of physicians that are in that facility, but I don't know if the dentist being there. So the dental is separate pharmaceuticals are separate, medical's separate, and I'm unaware of anything that the county has regarding any kind of drug formulary or any kind of conditions that they may or may not treat, or the drugs that they are prescribed.
What we have on that one there, Sydney, is, for instance, let's say you got an inmate in there that has terminal cancer. They just find it out. The judge, our judge, Police Larson, has the right to release them, so there is no medical release.
Okay. So what about the ones that are going to stay, that get, you know, the acne cream and the foot powder and the antacids and the, let's go on.
A lot of that, there's a lot of that is covered in the contract, but the separate billing is basically pharmaceuticals that above and beyond what is every day. Okay?
Still think it's potentially a big chunk of money.
Yeah, well, that's why we've got that clause where at least can cut them loose.
Okay.
That way we don't have to spend that money. And if they say, I got a broken neck, at least says, go to the doctor, you're discharged.
Also, we've been trying to really push the point that counties are legally responsible for indigent medical care, and most of the individuals that are going to jail are indigent. And so the county should be responsible for their medical bills, whether they're in the detention center or if they show up at Cibola General on their own.
But that's still us.
This is.
You
Yes,
know,
it is. We are the county seat. We are the county seat.
county, I mean, it's us.
Yes, it is. You got any questions, Brandon? No. Rick? No. Fred?
This is the same agreement that we have used here.
Except for the changes are in red.
It's slightly different. I think your copies have the red, so we asked for some slightly different language in here from the previous.
What's been changed is in the red. It's written in red and it's got a line through it.
Yeah, but it's basically the same. Yeah, that's the major.
The $7 increase is the biggest change. And, I mean, according to Marty, chief police, everybody else, it's reasonable. It's comparable to everything else that we're doing. I'll entertain a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Cibola County and the City of Grants for inmate housing.
Yeah, I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Cibola County and the City of Grants for the housing of inmates.
Second. Second. Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Council Vasquez? Council Lucero?
Yes.
Council Palia? Yes. Budget adjustments. Kimberly, are you gonna do this?
Yes, sir.
Councilors and Mayor and Laura. So when I do the quarterly reports every quarter, I have to make sure that there are not any negative numbers before I submit it to DFA. And in order to make sure there's no negative numbers, we have to move money around. The golf course is a perfect example because it normally is short, and so we have to move money from the general fund to the golf course. This is supposed to be done every quarter. So the first resolution you have is 18-1586, and actually that's for the first quarter when I was not here yet. But we do.
We appreciate you coming in and taking care of that, okay? Let's make that perfectly.
And actually, I started January 29th, and I got the second quarter in January 31st on time, and I just got the third quarter in this afternoon right before I came in here. So we're good to go. So what this is just basically, I have to request to you what I did. So, and I just broke it down by each one. You couldn't read through it. I don't think you want me to read through it. So
questions?
That's what the first one is.
Questions on the first one? Any questions?
I don't have questions.
Manny, Rick, Fred? No questions. I'll entertain a motion for resolution 18-1586 for the first quarter budget adjustments.
I make a motion to accept the resolution number 18-1586.
Second. Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Yes. Council Rick?
Yes.
Council Fred?
Yes.
Cool. Next one.
And the second one is the resolution for the second quarter, and it's got a couple more things on it because there were funds that weren't, we received the money, but it wasn't put into the right fund. It was just left in the cash account. And so we didn't actually transfer money, I just posted it to the correct account like it should have been done. So that's why the last three are saying that the revenue was put into the right account. And then actually the last two, we are actually requesting a budget adjustment. So when the budget was done last year, it was not put in there for the wastewater treatment plant and for the runway. So our budget for capital projects was nothing really, and really it's $18 million. So we have to put a formal request into the state to change our budget for this year to reflect that. So
reflect the money we've already spent on the library.
yeah, that we've already done, right.
Okay.
So we've changed the budget from in capital projects from 4.4 million to 17.4 million. And then we've also adjusted, and that's the expenses, we've adjusted the revenue from 2.4 million to 12.4 million. Now, just as a heads up, these resolutions are supposed to be done prior to me doing the budget, or the report that I just submitted this afternoon. So again, we'll have them in 2 weeks, probably I will have the resolutions for the third quarter, and then what we'll do hopefully for the fourth quarter is I'll have this stuff before you, so that we will be doing it ahead of time instead of after the fact. And so what we did is there will be another budget adjustment for the capital projects. What I did is we just took the numbers that we knew to date at the time, so that they match the second quarter report that I submitted. So we'll have another one for the third quarter and then for the fourth quarter. And then hopefully going forward, we'll be doing this ahead of time, and the budget will be correct to begin with. So, but Laura and I are working on that, so.
Questions? Sydney?
No. I was a little concerned. Very much so.
No. Fred? I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 181584, budget adjustments for the second quarter.
I move to approve the resolution number 181584.
Second.
Second.
Council Reynolds?
Yes.
Yes.
Council Rick?
Yes.
Council Fred? Yes. Go. Number 11.
Budget considerations. So there was a memo on the online agenda that didn't get in your hard copy packets, but it says, please see the attached letter from the Department of Finance and Administration, as well as the attachment on FY19 budget considerations. The council is slated to approve a preliminary budget on May 14th, first meeting in May. The final budget will be due to the Department of Finance by July 31st. So you have this letter that did get in your packet, and I kind of wanted to point out, it basically gives us our guidance of deadlines for the budget documents. But on page 2, at the top, it says, please note, in light of the continuing fiscal challenges, we recommend the following for your consideration in preparing a balanced interim budget. Adopting and applying former policy that strictly disallows reoccurring expenditures from cash balances and non-recurring revenue. So basically, reoccurring expenses are things like raises that will happen and continue from non-recurring money. And then implementing an immediate freeze on all current vacant employee positions, excluding health and public safety service positions, as well as increases to employee salaries. So they're saying they recommend we freeze any vacant positions or increases in salaries. And then implementing an immediate freeze on any new non-essential contracts that affect the general fund, discontinuing the practice of providing funds to any nonprofit organizations that are not tied to legislative appropriations. So this is the third year in a row that they've given those recommendations. So to me, Kimberly and I have talked about this. This means we need to proceed conservatively. We may not adhere to that totally, but it means we still need to be a little cautious because the economy is still not stable and the state funding is still not stable. So this next sheet that we gave you tonight was not in your packet. It was on the online. This is what I need your considerations on and that we need to solidify by May 14th for the preliminary budget. And I wrote at the top, city manager recommendations. As we plan our budget, we need to focus on city-related priorities and those that fall within our city scope. As outside funding requests come to us, we need to ask ourselves, is this something the citizens want their tax dollars spent on? So, you know, as I've been city manager, I notice a lot of groups, worthy groups, and a lot of requests come to us. But I think we need to always ask ourselves, is this really something the city should be spending the tax dollars on? Is this something that that group should fundraise for, or somebody, or businesses support? And not that they're not worthy causes, but is that what our taxpayers want our dollars on? And I always remember that letter to the editor from Mr. Crow recently criticizing us over those baskets that Sacred Wind is doing. So that points out, even though those baskets are a wonderful idea, he and many citizens don't want city dollars spent on those things when their roads are crumbling or our sewer and water lines are crumbling. They want us to focus on the things that are really important to them and important for city funding. So anyway, on your little list here, these are the GGI, which are our large projects, government improvements. These are the things that we need to really probably budget for. Lift stations, and Les is putting together a scope of work and we're trying to get some quotes. I have no idea what a lift station costs, but I'm guessing 300,000 times 2 is 600,000.
It's probably gonna be about $600,000 a piece.
And work at the city well for roof and floor. One of our well houses needs a roof and a floor. We need to account for the Legacy Trail match, which we're going to have some more coming through, where we have to buy those properties along the right-of-ways. The Legacy Trail Main Street Capital Award, we still have that sitting in the coffers that we can ask for reimbursement. We're going to need a match for First Street, because we're looking at completing First Street. We're going to need a match for Second Street. We're looking at completing that and doing some work. We've been recommending we do some valve work so that when we have to shut off water, I know when we had a water shut off on Roosevelt, it shut off the hospital, it shut off Good Sam. So we need a system that we don't have to shut a whole area down to change up, fix a water leak. Sewer line under 5th Street we believe is leaking. Road paving projects, I'm saying let's do about 1 million. We might be able to do more depending on what these other things pan out. Golf course sprinkler system, we've been doing 50,000 each year, and we've done 2 components. I think we're due to do 1 or 2 more. Pumps at the golf course, 2 times 5,000. Mower at the golf course possibly. Security system at the old library possibly. Building repairs, all of our buildings. Cover over the water department. Sidewalks about 200,000. 2 new vehicles possibly if we can afford for a department that theirs are aging. Unanticipated projects 300,000. Airport utility development. So Ray at the airport is working on creating an area that an outside company can come in and lease and the airport generate money on, but we would need utilities to it. And then an airport fencing gate. Then special projects, YCC we do every year, about 20,000. Tree grates for Santa Fe Avenue, special events, includes the fireworks, economic development contracts. So these contracts, these are the current amounts of what we fund. Economic development at 44,000, Main Street 35,000, Transit 52,000, Cibola Arts Council 38,000. We get back 14,567 for their rent. The COG, we pay them, Council of Governments 37,500. Future Foundations, 15,000 for our rec departments, part of the operations, 8,000 for custodian, 27,000 for after school. Unanticipated projects, 100,000. I think I don't know, okay. And then debt, we've got the zipper that will have a payment at the end of the year, 24,000. Wastewater treatment plant, the new loan. The new loan, the payment I believe is 700,000. Anticipated increases, OMI contract will probably increase due to the new wastewater treatment plant. they're gonna have to have at least one more staff member to oversee that plant based on the discharge permit. The detention center, I need to account for the extra amount per day. Large equipment, golf cart lease, about 40,000, and then raises. So, raises, we need a recommendation from the council. What do you want to do for raises? Typically, we've done across the board. Kimberly and I have a recommendation. I'm going to let her. Would you like to talk about it, our recommendation?
I would, and I'd like to just back up for 2 seconds too, because Cindy said she was very worried a minute ago. And these resolutions where we're changing money, where we're finding money, there's going to be more of those, as I said a minute ago. I do want to say I've been here 3 months full-time, and while money wasn't put in the right accounts for the right places as far as an accounting, it is all there. There's been no improprieties, there's not been anything like that, number one. Number two, I think the city is in good shape financially. I think that has happened. However, we haven't verified that 100%. And our audit is close to being completed, but until we get that back and until I finish going through and finish doing bank reconciliations and doing all the things that need to be done to verify our money, I think we need to really be cautious. Not for fear that there's not enough there, but just to make sure that we have enough when we need it. So on the heels of that, I come from the private sector, where you're given a raise based on your merit, not just because you're a government entity. And so I have very strong feelings about this. I run my department this way. I have 4 girls in there, and I have given them all a review since I've started. After I was here for a while, I observed, and I've given them all a review. And I have a form that I found online, actually, to do this, that I do with my personal business. And I've done it with my girls. And it's a form. It's an employee performance review. Let me just take one and pass it down. And basically, it allows you to score the employee based on what their duties are, based on their attendance, based on their punctuality, based on their, as well as the duties that they do. And you give them a score, and at the end, you add it all up, and then you can have a system set up. If somebody scores a 6, then they get the maximum raise available. If they score a 5, then they get the percentage of that. And I really recommend that we do this not only for the fiscal side of it, but for the goodness of our employees. What incentive does an employee have to do a better job if they know they're going to get a 2% raise every year? Why are we going to be any better than the person next to us? Why are we going to make sure we come to work on time every day? Why are we going to do those things when I know I'm going to get a 2% raise every year? And I know that's completely something unheard of in the whole government sector, but, I just think it's really something that we should be working towards. So.
Question?
I think it's great myself. I mean, this goes back, work ethic way back when, which hasn't been brought up.
Right.
I love this. I'd like to move on this.
Okay, like I said, these are all considerations. We'll be doing this on the 14th.
On the 14th, right.
Is our next meeting, guys. So just think about it, think about where we're at, what we're doing with this. We will not have a meeting on the 28th. That is Memorial Day. So Donald, Kimberly, everybody out there from the city, make sure you got everything in on the 14th. Okay? Because I do not want to have a special meeting in between, guys. I do not want to do that.
And quite honestly, I have to have the preliminary to DFA by June the 1st. So I figure we have to complete it on May 14th,
yes.
Because that's going to take me 2 weeks to get it into their new format this year. That's another thing. In addition to everything else that I'm doing, we have a whole new budget format this year that they want for fiscal year 19. So it's going to take me every bit of those 2 weeks to get those numbers into the right format. So yeah, I don't want to either. We need to have it so that we are moving on.
Because and then we'll skip the 28th for Memorial Day. And we'll come back in June, I think it's the 12th or something.
And we will have to have a second meeting in June probably to do these resolutions to finish all these numbers up. So just as an FYI.
Along Kimberly's talk about that we have a healthy stream of revenue. We had that big pullback in August. of 2017 is $700,000. And I went at one time to look at their records, and what they gave me didn't really reflect why we got that. So I had to write another letter, and I've been going back and forth with the tax and rev. But anyway, this last time that I talked with the tax and rev, they told me I didn't need to come to see the records because we're going to see a big increase, is basically what they told me. So I don't know, I'm putting 2 and 2 together, but I think because I had asked them to look at this and I wanted to look at it, I think they found some mistakes that they may be correcting. So we're going to be watching, you know, who knows, but we may be getting, she acted like we were going to be getting some of that back.
That would be nice.
So, yeah, I'm
Okay.
hoping that.
Don't hold your breath.
No, never.
What, Moses?
If I may. We participate in performance evaluations as well. If you want them, I'll get them. And while you take the time to consider phrases more specifically, to answer your question, Mayor, the state, more specific, Western, received 3 increments back in 2008, 10 years ago, which puts them at about 1670, which is just 40 to 55 cents lower than what we are. So they've been doing all right. Those increments have kept them afloat. With the 8.5% increase, that's going to put them to 1811, which is going to be competitive if we are on the lower end of your decision. We would be receiving 1835. I'm going to lose guys. I'm going to lose guys to corrections. I'm going to lose guys to state police. I'm already losing guys to Rio Rancho. Somebody's stepping down to continue his business. Again, I just asked that I wanted to give you the answer you were looking for, and I want you guys to please consider 8.5 just to make the department competitive. We are not trying to line our pockets. I'm trying to keep these positions full with qualified, certified, quality officers, because public safety should have been on top of the priority for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. Okay, Cemetery Board appointments. I want Ruby Heron and Floyd Garcia are my recommendations for Cemetery Board. Questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Ruby Heron and
Floyd Garcia. Second.
I second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero? Councilor Padilla? Yes. Thank you. Last one, ambulance service contract. This one is really good, guys.
We've had the same ambulance company for quite a while now, Taylor Ambulance. They have gone out of business, and most of the same group are part of Friends of Mount Taylor Ambulance. They formed a new, I guess, a nonprofit. We told them we couldn't just automatically contract with them, so we put out a request for proposals. We got 2 different proposals, one from Mount Taylor Ambulance and one from Superior Ambulance. And the committee selected to go with Superior Ambulance. And I think you can see from the proposal packet that there's a big difference in professionalism and probably the quality of services.
Questions? Councilor Reynolds?
So we're not staying with the small town local people? We're going to the big guys?
Yes, but I anticipate that they will hire many of the staff.
Yeah, because they're like in Santa Fe and.
Albuquerque, Gallup.
Yeah, Roswell.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So you don't anticipate, well, we can't anticipate, so enough said.
Manny?
I'd like to go with Superior Ambulance Service.
Rick?
So basically the standards of the service will go up?
I believe so.
It's down to the service, and the price is going down.
Yeah, so you're getting more for your buck.
More bang for your buck. Fred, you got questions?
No, I just go to.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to go with Superior Ambulance Service for $120,000 per year.
Second. Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Lucero? Councilor Padilla? Comments, Laura, you're first.
We are just about done with the audit, thank heavens. And they're ready to do a exit conference with a quorum of the council. So we have set a date of May 10th at 10 a.m. It will need to be a closed meeting because the audit doesn't become official until after it goes to the state auditor and they actually approve it. And then 5 days after that, it becomes where it can be public. So if you will mark your calendars, May 10th, I will be checking to see if at least we can have a quorum of the council there. May 10th, 10 a.m. And the auditors will actually present the audit to our finance department and yourselves. 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock in the morning. And if you could be here, we appreciate it. If you can't, but I mean, it'll probably be better if you guys all show up.
We can at least get three.
What we've been through with the finance department over the last couple of years, moving people, getting rid of people, taking care of things, okay? Comments for the council, Sydney?
I have a couple. Well, so many people are gone. But you know, April 2nd, we had a council meeting and it got a little bit, I don't know, it made me feel somewhat uncomfortable. We are elected officials, the people who sit here are elected officials. We are not the supervisors of any city employees.
Except this one?
Well.
And that one?
But if someone is not appreciative of the efforts that a city employee is making, I think that person should consult the supervisor in a discreet environment and not in an open forum. I know I speak before I think. So I don't want that to occur, and I'll try my hardest to make it not occur. And the second thing is, all these people that keep asking for money, I know, they never, what are they doing for fundraising? Come to me, I'm always good for 100. And nobody is ever coming to say, can you do something for me? Can you give me money in a nice way? But, the mining museum doesn't, the chamber doesn't, I'm not a chamber person either. But, Main Street doesn't, there's not a one, not anybody. And there's a lot of very giving, I don't like to give my time is pretty full, but I do give money. So if you want money, let me know instead of whining. And you all are doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sydney. Matt?
Yes, this is for Laura and our street department. I would like to see us put, since we have our own machinery to do streets, chalk has been tore up for 20-some years. They finished one side, which is high, the other side is low, and it was never done, only one side is done. I'd like to see us get some money to fix that roof.
I think it's already on the list.
Rick?
I'm good.
Fred?
I got a question about the code enforcement. After we had cleaned the scene, there's 2-3 people confronted me. They took me up to the door by the bird house up there behind McDonald's. This lady said they only do is come and look at it, but no action. And that one went behind Stevens, what's the last street behind?
Sergeant.
That
the wooden one that.
Yeah, that brown one.
Yes.
That needs to go.
And that one across from me,
Yes.
those 3 places, we're working on it, but nothing's being done. They were trying to clean the scene. And what about you guys? You don't help anymore. You didn't see it. I didn't know it was burnt, I wouldn't look at it.
I know Robert has, I think, three places ready for demolition that he'll be recommending soon. But he goes through a certain process. But I'll have him, at our next meeting, he's supposed to give a report. I took it off this agenda because we had so much.
So much.
But,
I don't like 4-hour
I'll
meetings.
ask him if we
2 hours is too
can
long.
hear about those.
Another thing, I concur with what Cindy said. I was in Moriarty, my son lives in Edgewood. The other day, when I was in the basketball tournaments, and he took me to a meeting in Moriarty. They don't ask for money. They say, what can we help you guys with, you know? People, they're retired by the time, like a lot of people retired here. What can we do to help you guys out? That was surprising to me. I'm only being hit a month. We spend how many $1,000 in that way, you know? And that's why I asked how much you got and stuff like that. There's no effort in fundraising. I'm sorry, guys.
There's only so many businesses around here, and we all get tapped out, I mean, constantly.
Yeah, you could have a raffle. You have a raffle money.
Yeah, you can have the bingo baskets and all that stuff, but you know, it doesn't generate as much money as everybody.
Well, you know, $100 is better than nothing.
I understand that, but that's a lot of work for the amount of
Well,
money.
you gotta work, but
You know, I looked at one nonprofit's proposal and some of this stuff and their budget, and they had only $1,000. You're not asking people to sponsor holes. You're not doing a whole heck of a lot of anything.
well, we had
Guys, if I can get $2,700 for a haircut, come on,
the
man.
same piece of we needed money for the carpet. Corinne and I had a fundraiser. We sold Navajo tacos. For 2 days, we made $1,700. It's work, but if you want something, you gotta work for it. And we put that carpet at this church, and I'm proud to say that we worked for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I got 2 things. Local Canyon Road in the state, where are we at? I'm watching an old man in a wheelchair, I almost got run over last night when I was coming in.
Oh, going across?
Yes.
Oh, always.
Okay, so let's see what the heck's going on there. It's been, what they tell us 6 months, I'm sure it's been well over 6 months.
Yeah.
Or damn close to it, okay? And the second thing I want you to check on is our application for the artillery piece for
Okay.
Friendship Park. And see where we're at on that.
Yeah, I've not heard a word.
Yeah, check on that and see where we're at. I really want that artillery piece in there. On that note, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Wait, go one more.
Go ahead, Randy, go ahead.
You know, I asked about completing the baseball field.
Yes.
Is there a way we can put in a sprinkler system and sod before the season starts?
We put it in, I think, next year's YCC grant. I don't know that they have already projects for this summer, but we put it for the YCC project. It will be not this summer, next. We just did this other field, this last field, in August of this year. So I did ask for Sherry to put it in the YCC.
So it'll be August. Yeah, it'll be next
It'll
year.
be one more year, yeah.
And, I mean,
what does that cost? I mean, is that something that we can?
To have a company do it,
it's a lot.
it costs about $100,000 or more. But with the YCC, all we did was pay for the sod and the sprinkler parts, and they put it in. They did the labor.
You know, it saves a ton of money and we use that money elsewhere for the other parts. You know, I understand what you're saying. I'd like to see it done too, but are they really using that park? Are they playing games on that park or are they just practicing?
Well,
I know which park you're talking about. so
yeah,
I'm
the last one hasn't
Yeah.
been completed. And whether they're using it or not, I don't know. I know there's bases on it and stuff. And maybe they're using it for
Practices and stuff.
But if it was field ready, I mean, it would be great for a lot of these tournaments because they can get a lot more games in.
Yeah.
And they can get more teams in, you know, so.
Think about it, you got your priority budgets there now, and then we're gonna put all that stuff in 2 weeks, so look at it. Take a look at it, see what you guys think. I mean, you're the ones making the decision. Okay? Period. Okay, now, entertain a motion to close it down.
I make a motion that we.
Second. All in favor, say aye. You guys have a great night, thank you. See you on the 14th.